Welcome to the first of what I'm sure will be many episode order rewatch discussions. This time I'm going to be looking at what I like is the first episode and the last episode. I also asked around to see what other UFO fans like to use for these. As far as I'm aware, Identified is the official pilot, and so a lot of people still like to use that one to start off a rewatch. Derek commented that Confetti check A-O.K might be an interesting way to start the series.
I was waiting for you to come home. For 4 hours, waiting. What am I supposed to think?
Come on.
No. I don't know why you bothered to come home at all.
I might try this out because that would be an incredibly immersive, visceral way to just dive straight in to the story. And Straker, of course, references this episode many times in other episodes. So yeah, I think this would be a really interesting first episode. Could be overwhelming for new fans. Like, whoo! My personal choice is Exposed.
You wrote that report 3 days after recovering from a 6-day coma.
6 days, 6 weeks. What's the difference?
Unidentified flying object.
Just process that film.
The main reason for this is Foster starts out on the outside, much like the audience, especially new people who haven't watched it before. And so his journey is kind of a guided tour into SHADO. He slowly figures out what's going on. It's a less intense way to kind of get people into the universe, get you back into the vibe of the show if you haven't watched it in a while. It's also less intense than some of the other episodes. As brilliant as starting with Confetti Check would be, that's a lot to start with, whereas for me, Exposed is a gentler way to get back into UFO. But a lot of you might be wondering, well, what's wrong with Identified? Why don't you just start with that? Alec is a problem. His behavior in Identified is, at best, an HR nightmare.
I could tell you more over dinner.
Don't you think you better get back to your little seat up front?
Stargate SG-1, another show I really like, has a similar problematic pilot. They were trying to be really edgy and sexy, and the result is just disaster. Do not start with the pilot of Stargate SG-1 either. Oh my goodness. I know it has key story elements or whatever, but yikes. I think a lot of people realized that Alec was being a little bit uncomfortable in this episode. We get scenes like the corridor.
You must have passed all the tests.
All of them.
I bet.
For me, yeah, this is a little bit eye roll inducing, but I've known people like this. They have to flirt 24/7. It's just their thing. Probably not a good idea in a work environment like he was doing, but we also have the scene with Colonel Lake, or at the time, she's only, I assume, Dr. Lake or Miss Lake. But she technically did ask him what he knew about the project, and so although he could have been a little less pompous about talking about it, my personal opinion is he was nervous. I mean, it's Colonel Lake. I would be nervous too. He could have handled it better, but this is not, again, the scene that I object to. I'm talking about what he did to Miss Eland. When he walks in, he tries to get her attention. If he had been like, Miss Eland, and then let go, that would have been like, ooh, Alec, but not. He puts his hand on hers and then he traps her on the desk. She's trying to move her hand gently, in a professional way, but he's not letting her. Now, for a woman, this is terrifying. That's enough about the first episode. For the last episode, there are various philosophies. A lot of people still like to have the long sleep as the final close out the show. It's a beautiful moment, but it is just too depressing for me personally. I'm like, it's tragic enough that there are no more episodes. Do we have to end on that note? I do love the episode. I just put it way higher in my rewatch order. The SHADO library and some other fans put Time Lash as the ending episode.
No, it's not that easy.
I think this is a pretty solid pick. It shows how desperate the aliens have become and how formidable SHADO is. Plus, you get the gorgeous purple blouse. I think it's a good choice. Anderson UFO on YouTube suggested Mindbender. Now that would be a really melodramatic way to stop the series. I just watched it last night. Wow. It's an intense episode. Henderson especially, the actor. Meh, meh.
Cut! And print that.
I'm not sure I'd want to end on it, but it would definitely be a memorable way to leave the show. Steve, also from YouTube, suggested Sub-Smash because it's a really in-depth journey with Commander Straker, and he kind of faces his demons, as it were, down there.
I mean, I'm glad it's you.
I love this idea, but there's no way I'd manage it. It's my favorite episode, so I would crack and I would watch it halfway. I know it. The only way I could see this working is a double feature, meaning you watch Sub-Smash halfway and then you watch it again at the end. My final episode choice is Reflections in the Water. We've had a lot of buildup at this point to a large group of UFOs attacking. We referenced it in things like Kill Straker when he's trying to get the budget upped to expand S.H.A.D.O. We get some fantastic underwater situations, mysterious alien tech. HS Studios is actually involved in the plot, which is great. And then that ending sequence when the UFOs attack, wave after wave of them. You get to watch S.H.A.D.O at its best, at its peak of defending the Earth, and it is amazing. And it is such a powerful way, at least to me, to end the show. Just on that high note, the Earth is safe. There's no right or wrong way to watch the series. I mean, it's kind of like a box of assorted chocolates, you know? You have the caramel ones and the raspberry ones and the dark chocolate and the light chocolate. However you want to eat the box is fine. They're all good. I'm always curious to see what other people are doing. Interceptors. Immediate launch.